Welcome to Milkshake Monday Backdrop. We're going to talk about cave-tight faith, and apparently it wasn't that hard to understand, so there's not going to be many questions. So, all right, Faith, this is Faith Helm.
Hello, hustlers and gangsters. So for this episode, I just took note where you talked a lot about faith. Hello, my name is Faith. And I wanted you to decipher how you kept saying in one of your verses, Samuel 22, you talked also about fake faith. Define fake faith.
So, I have to go back in time in my mind which one I was saying. So, in the case, you said Samuel, or I think you were talking about Acts. Because in the example that I used for Acts, it was where the sons of Sceva were pretending that they had a relationship with Jesus, similar to what Paul had, and that when Paul was exorcising or taking the demons out, that they were pretending or being fake, phony, and not real about the relationship they had with Jesus. So they couldn't call on a name they didn't know. They couldn't inhabit his power if they never had a relationship with him to start with. So when I say fake, there are people that are not trying to exorcise demons, call demons out, but they're also trying to put on in front of people that they have this wonderful relationship with Christ, and then they're putting other people down. They're talking trash to them as though the person that they're talking about is below them in their relationship, and sometimes they don't even have a relationship themselves. They go to a church, they're a member on somebody's roll, they have some title, but the more you know Christ, the more we all understand that none of us are righteous. None of us are deserving. We're only going there because of his mercy and his grace. So when I say fake, I mean they really aren't being genuine to have a relationship.
I heard you also in way back when you first began. When you said fake, I thought of reminding me back of when you first started your Milkshake Mondays, how you kept saying actors more so. Is that kind of best?
Yeah, they're putting on. They're acting like they are Christians. They're even when people are coming out against Christianity right now, they're saying that people are being hypocrites. And they get to say that because so many people are making like they are just walking Bibles. They are doing all the 10 Commandments. God has just given them gold stars on everything in their life, and that's not what it is.
Yeah.
They're really putting on something as though they have the Christ. We're all supposed to be ambassadors of Christ, but the thing we should always recognize is that he's perfect, not us.
And you talked about that because when you said fake faith, you said fake or false. Regardless of that, you gave an instance of you'll know because someone will say I have faith, but then bring a person down and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I said in that teaching to you that God will expose it or the devil. In the case of what I talked about, the sons of Sceva, the devil himself that was supposed to be rebuked exposed them. If you go to Acts 5, where Ananias and Sapphira, that wasn't part of the teaching, they were lying about the money they had gotten based on selling land because they wanted to look the part. They wanted to act like everybody else who was giving sacrificially, but they wanted to hold back their money. And it was the Holy Spirit speaking to Peter saying, you lied. And because you lied, you're dying right now. Not just the wife, the husband, but the wife. Both of them died. So if you're being phony and false with God,
superficial.
I'm not saying superficial, because superficial could be like you're a really lightweight Christian in the sense that you're trying. I hate the word trying, but you're making the effort, but you're not giving your full self or commitment. But when people they don't really love God. They want people to think they love God. Or even people that are coming to church now, there's some men and women coming to church, they want to have relationships of girls and boys. And so they're coming in to look like they are Christian guys. All the while they want a Christian girl they can sucker and, get them to bed or do whatever they're going to do to take their money and just use them and abuse them. But they never were part of the family of God. They just wanted to become sitting in the pew pretending. So.
And how can we look through that? Or, like you said, sometimes the Lord will show, or, the devil himself, you'll see it through, I guess, discernment or just asking God. But in those instances, you kind of gave a great example. How can you see through that? Does that take relationships, of course, with God? But what are some of the flags that we are now saying red flags that you can see before entering into that relationship with a person who you may see at church, you may see at a church event, you may see, at one of these events and say, especially now, a lot of times before we get in relationships, we feel the person out and we say, do you know the Lord? And they'll say yes off rip, just go to the next conversation. But how can in a relationship wise, because you brought it up, better that, or kind of like do how survey it?
Well, we are made up, each individual is made up of body, mind, and spirit. Mm-hmm. When you say discernment, that's a spiritual component where the Lord's Spirit within you that abides, lives within you, can discern it. But then there's the body. The physical needs of this body have to be controlled and kept in check. Mm-hmm. If you constantly see that they don't care about the things that they should care about when it comes to taking care of the body, what does God say to do with that body? And it could be sexual, you can think that part, but there's other things. Mm-hmm. How you take care of the body, are you drinking, are you drugging, are you... Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this body. Yeah. And depending on what they're doing, they're exposing... What are they really, who created this body? Who are they accountable to this body? So you have the spiritual part of the body. Mind, out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. Your mind is looking, what are their aspirations? What are their goals? What do they want to be about? Mm-hmm. What is that? Toxicity, as I say, can't hide for long. And if they're always about their money, or they're showing off, or they're name dropping, or they're doing stuff to make you think, I call it self-marketing, they're always self-marketing themselves to be something. What is that about? And they're doing it for your benefit and everybody listening in, but you'll know if somebody is fine with themselves, content to be whole, and they're okay with themselves. But they always got to be propping themselves up and then putting you down sometimes, or, overdoing it with you, mm-hmm. love bombing, as they say. But they'll expose themselves. The flags that they will show if you're paying attention with your spiritual self, mm-hmm. and your natural eyes and your spiritual eyes at the same time, and listening with those ears, I think you'll be able to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And trusting God in that time of seeing things and not going straight forward, like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead for it, and not waiting. Like, sometimes we hear pastors say, it takes, I'm going to take 3 days and pray about it. Sometimes it necessarily needs that, but you talk about it when you talk about the story of David and the 400 men. Yeah. And in that coming together in desperate situations and actually trusting God in those situations. Elaborate on that.
Well, David had 400 men, all of which he didn't know. Mm-hmm. They were pretty down on their luck. Mm-hmm. So he had to trust God to protect him and provide for those people and give him discernment. Who's coming about with the right motives and the reasons. And then those men coming, they're already down on their luck, rock bottom, but they have to get to know people they don't know. Mm-hmm. They have to trust them. They have to work with them. All of them have faith in a person that maybe they know or don't know a lot about David. Mm-hmm. So all of that coming together is a lot. It could be a ticking time bomb if you're not under the Spirit of God. Because if you brought, at your own workplace, if you know that the people who are there, their personalities, what's going on, add 20 more people to that in the mix of what they come as their background and possible baggage. Then add another, so to get to 400 people right away, no transition of them coming like gradually, it's like 400 people to show up. The logistics of that, what we're going to do with all these people, who are going to feed all these people, who's going to be leading, and they have to just say, okay, David's the leader. Mm-hmm. And what experience had David really had? He was a shepherd. Yeah. Yeah, I guess these are just dumb sheep, if you want to say that. I'm not trying to be insulting of the 400 men, but they're going through something. Well, he was a musician. Well, what kind of training did he have to take on that big assignment? He had to trust God. He had to believe God for all facets of the thing, because none of us would want to be thrown into that with no experience and basically no timing to get it all together.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it in the beginning, how, I now, when reading the Bible, I actually try to put myself in that position. Like, I'd be scared 400 people under that. It's like, I don't even remember, let alone what I did yesterday, let alone be a leader in the sense of 400 people, you know. And again, like you said, motives, you don't know like what each of them, their mindset is. And even when you read through the book, you kind of see things like that of people who are leaders responsible for men, or you know, in a large conglomerate.
And well, men have a lot of testosterone too.
Yeah.
And they all want to be, I'm in charge. But these people are, some of them are depressed.
Yeah.
And some of them may not be as stable. You know, they may have been great mighty men because they want to kill people. You don't know what's going on. I was like, whew.
You said also, genuine faith requires surrendering, sacrifice, silence, survival, and trusting God through uncertain and tight circumstances. Can you give an instance where you use that?
Now, what I think you're saying is in a situation where I was in cave-type faith myself. Now, maybe not other people, but all those different circumstances. I got to think on that one a little bit.
Because I think a lot of times, while you're thinking of that, a lot of times when we hear, we have a tough time surrendering. We have a lot of times sacrifice, silence, you know, just straight up silence and survival. But I think when you said that, I was like, oh, she's, you know, for one, I was like, oh, you're doing the S's. But the one that stuck out to me was silence and surrendering, because I think a lot of times I have a hard time with surrendering, not to other people, like vulnerability more so. And then silence I'm good with. You can understand that yesterday. Like, I don't like talking. I don't. And I like my silence. I like to listen more than I like to talk, which is opposite from the two females in my family. But it's okay.
But we don't know when you go silent. If you're going silent because you're upset with us or something's going on, but you just all of a sudden go silent. It's like,
but sometimes those silence are needed, because sometimes you just need to refocus, and sometimes you had a conversation with God, or I just finished praying and I just really just need to sit with my thought, or I got something from that after, as soon as I finish praying. Like, sometimes you just need that silence. Sometimes you just need that quietness.
I'm learning to do better with it. I just sometimes we're chatty catty like the day before. Yeah. And then we get into the truck sometimes. It's like, I'm carrying the whole conversation for the whole drive.
But
like,
that's
okay,
why
I'm going to shut up because this is like I got tried. There's nothing.
That's why I said I was going to wait until today, because I was like, I know she wanted me to talk yesterday.
Well, I figured just stop talking, Anita, and I'll figure out whatever. It was this, maybe you were tired, and I didn't know what it was, but I just
didn't want to talk. Like,
that was fine. Well, you can say this. You could just tell me, give me the clue. This is like a relationship thing too, with you and your future husband. I'm just quiet. There's nothing going on. I'm just want to be quiet. That's all you have to say. Yeah. Then I know where you're coming from.
But I have done that before.
But not yesterday. You didn't do it yesterday.
Because I've done it before, and you haven't got the memo of, like, I just don't want to talk. I don't want to reply.
We're going to do better. We're going to do better. But yes. But just give me a hint. I'm just going to be quiet, Mom. That's enough. To give me an indication that I know I have to... You know?
It's more so not, you don't have to zip. I'm just saying, and we're getting off.
You're not going to respond.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'll respond with like one word, but I'm not upset. Okay. More so.
Well, just give me a key. And
you talked about genuine, we were going back to, circling back.
So I got an example for you. Because it took me a minute to, years ago, we were in the Cavallo house. Oh, sorry. We were in a house.
We're not there anymore.
Right, we're not there anymore. But we were in that house, and I was transitioning from one job to the other. Mm-hmm. We were in the midst of get ready to do a tax litigation, and I couldn't get my clearance immediately. It's because they showed I was getting ready to do this tax thing. And so we went for 3 weeks without me knowing about a job. And Dad was just as cool and calm, but I was like freaking out. But I had to get to the place of surrendering. To me, I felt very back against the wall. I had never been without a job anytime. And then I'm thinking livelihood, I'm thinking all this stuff, and so I had to get to the point of surrendering that to God. It did all work out, but at the time I thought about those S's. At the time I wouldn't think about those S's, but as you said it, it's like I did not feel comfortable, but at the same time I knew that I had to have some level of trust. And Dad was just saying, it's going to all work out. He said, do that consultant company you want to do. So I created some cards, but at the same time, I was like, but then God used me in other things during that duration. And then I got called back and said, they want you. And come on, do this. And other things worked out. And I was like, okay.
Do you believe that too, like combining with surviving, surrendering, all that can be a test to God to really see, do you trust me?
Yep.
Because I think a lot of times, I think back when you brought up a situation like, I think of the overdraft fees. Like, you were so on these overdraft fees.
Oh my God,
and I
because your dad would just do that.
No, but I'm just saying, like, in those instances, I honestly was like, I understand now, but at the time I was like, oh my gosh, like, every, like, argument would be more so about financial because of overdraft fees, and Dad was like, it's okay, like, but you would always be like, oh my gosh.
I was like, that's wasted. Okay, this is the thing, a relationship thing. When you grow up in a culture, that's why I said 5 pillars of relationship. I grew up poor.
Yes.
And so,
not like
$39.
Dad did too.
Dad did too, but something about on his poor journey did not translate to my poor journey. That makes me laugh. Because $39, every time he was doing it, I was thinking, $39, that's somebody's grocery. You know, I'm going to laugh because I'm crying because this makes me laugh. But I did not like that. We came from 2 different cultures of wasting money, not being prudent in organizing and budgeting and keeping your act together, and you don't write checks you don't have. That's why in my book, my mother freaked out. I did the same thing. When you said I just thought about that, I did the same thing as my mother. But
that's why
my dad didn't care, and my mom didn't care. My mom pissed off that Dad didn't care, and then here, my own husband's like, hey, no biggie. And I said, it is a biggie.
But it kind of goes both ways. Like, you learn too what your mother was going through. I learned that. I was like at that time I was like, what's the deal? Like, he was doing something, but I thought of that in a sense of like surrendering, trusting God in the process through those instances. Thank you for giving that example. But it's like, for that you have to surrender. It's gonna take some time.
Can that be funny now? Like, you're going to surrender to that person for property tax. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, go get. I'm already, no, make me silly. Go ahead. I'm already laughing.
Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. Because that's not even funny, but it's okay. I'm going to let that slide.
Okay.
Like, okay. That was crazy. But yes, okay. I can't believe you just did that, but it's all right. Okay. So, first of all, okay, I just gotta get this out of the way. We can cut this too. Personal property tax is ridiculous, okay, for one. And mine is high.
Oh my gosh, yours is $100. You're kidding me. Everybody just grown and got real cars. You're $100.
My car is real. My car is real for one. Okay, we're gonna go back to.
We're going back to Kate type.
So yes, faith must overcome. You said faith must overcome fear. The call to act is courageously. When you talk about David's men, you talked about the initial fear leaving the cave, but God's direction moved forward, called for movement and action. A lot of times, when you say movement and action, in the instance of David leaving that cave, when it was coming to Saul. Mm-hmm. In a lot of instances where we go through, when I read the word, I put myself in a situation where I'm actually in there, and I think of, in the sense of like, I'll be like, David, like, can we stay a little longer in sometimes, an instance? Have you ever had an instance where someone was like, kind of, where God was telling you to move, rather than move, you listen to a person. You listen to actual human flesh rather than listen to God, who probably was, for instance, a distraction from the movement and action that God had for you.
personally, I've had people.
Okay, I thought you were about to say personal property tax. I said, let's cut this joke now. I'm sorry.
Personally,
yeah,
I've had, even with your dad in my relationship,
Mm-hmm.
the Lord has spoken to me to say, this man is who he's brought to me to be my husband.
Yeah.
There were people in my life that did not support that. I didn't really get into them. They didn't know he's going to be my husband, but they didn't want him to be for my life.
Yeah.
And so that was a big leap of saying, I'm going to trust God, when others were saying differently. And it wasn't David so much that was questioning leaving the cave, it was the men. And
that's what
David,
I'm saying.
right,
Other people.
Yeah, but other people behind him made him go back the second time to God. And when God spoke to me about the situation, I just using my personal example, it was so clear. It wasn't even a guess. How it will all happen, and maybe not me knowing how that was going to happen, but I knew the leap was going to happen. When, where, how. That part I wasn't really concerned about, but I was like, okay. But, you know.
But isn't that the best, too, not knowing? Because you're a logistical person. Like, I'm a logistical person as well, passed down, where we want to know the when, what, how, where, like, all that. But sometimes that can ruin the, I guess, spontaneous.
Well, I wasn't concerned about the spontaneity of whatever was going to happen. I just wanted it to be of the will of God.
Yeah.
And after failing with my first marriage so publicly like it was not that I wanted to go into a marriage relationship and not be in the will of God, not have a wonderful relationship, because day to day having a piss poor one is not a great one. And
you had a child.
I had a child, so I definitely didn't want to hurt Albany or me or get us involved in something that would not be beneficial for her and I together. So
because there are people who, especially, I think yours is very unique because a lot of times you're especially seeing it where single parents have a child and they do want to have a relationship with another person, but I don't know, like, I don't have that, but, like, the scary part about it, or the fear some people might worry is, like, bringing my child into this relationship, and you have people in the background saying, I don't think you should do that or anything. And sometimes people do listen, but having that conversation, did you have a moment where you had a conversation with God, like, Lord, guide my steps in the next relationship? Like, how was that after? I don't want to say failed, more so of, like, a trial and error of a relationship, the first part, but how was that movement in action?
The reality was I wasn't even expecting to have a relationship so soon after my divorce, or it wasn't even, because we kind of met each other before my finalized divorce, so my mind wasn't thinking about a new relationship. So when I was spoken to by the Lord, I hadn't even got to the point, I think, of thinking, say, hey, Lord, please, for the next relationship, make it da-da-da-da. He just knew my heart and how painful the last one was. And as I prayed about what I should have waited for in the past and asking his forgiveness for my college days up into my 20s, that kind of stuff, maybe in the midst of all of that, I'd had that discussion. But I didn't kind of sit down after the divorce and say, God, make sure this. But I was sensitive that if I had another relationship, I guess, I was not going to do anything that I put Albany at risk. And even Reverend was very sensitive about, protecting her and making sure there was never any instance that anybody would think anything that would happen to her that was ill.
Yeah, I remember the whole thing of, like, he said, I never want to take pictures where she's in the tub. And
Like, all that stuff.
All that stuff, and I was like, okay, like, I never, but it's good to know because like, a lot of, cruel intentions people have, and especially our family. Not saying like they're cruel.
But our family, to be truthful, has, because you have a lot of strong-willed women and not as many men around, and the men that are around, some of them are strong, but there are so few of them that the loudness of the ladies in our family just take over. And sometimes I think they pull back and say, let them have that. I'm not going to bother with that. I'll do it. My house, that whole big thing. So when that happens, I think that also is something in the back of your ear to say, I didn't want that. I wanted a home with peace. I wanted a home with leadership. I don't know how we got on this, but my point is, I was very grateful that God allowed me to have your dad.
Key, cool. Last thing too is you encourage about transformation through faith requires listeners' sacrifice to and surrender. What do you mean by listeners' sacrifice? You said listeners, comma, sacrifice. And
so you to listen.
Yeah.
You have to listen. I think you have to be in the posture, position in your life to keep in mind that God has got direction. He has instructions and directions. He's going to use, whether it's the word of God or people, but you have to listen to the voice of God. When David went to ask for direction from God about going down to Keilah, and then were they going to win? That was one level of direction. But then he actually went back when the whole Saul incident and asked, are these people going to give me up?
Yeah.
Are these people going to be phony after I just helped them?
Yeah.
And he had to listen to God because God told him.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing is that when we ask the Lord, whatever's going on in our lives, but if we ask the Lord, what do you want me to do? Give me understanding of this is what I see could happen. Is that going to happen or not? And we don't think God is plain speak, that he doesn't know plain English or whatever language we're living in. And I think it's just a matter that we don't give him the opportunity to speak, or we don't even give him an opportunity to let us hear and listen. We're just jumping out there. And so that's the listening part. And what was the other word you said?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Now, when I talked about sacrifice in the cave, it's that if I am a certain place, and this is happening real time, legitimately, I right now used to have revenue coming in, significant revenue. That's gone away. But yet I have reserves that are for, and God will let me say, are you going to be a blessing or are you going to panic? And I'm going to use the word punk out. Are you going to be not having faith and you're going to be scared and fearful and doubtful? Or are you going to work with me and I say, do this, I want you to do this. I don't want you to question and say because of X, Y, Z. Now this is a sacrifice. Because when it was, rolling in dough, that's a different thing. It's not a sacrifice. Hey. But now I was like, okay, God, you want me to do what? Okay. I'm going to believe you. I'm going to believe that you've got whatever I need around the corner and we're going to work it out. So that's what sacrificing sometimes when those people came and they had little or they didn't have everything working for them, but them to make a choice to go into that cave, maybe have even less and then trust.
It goes back to how you gave an instance about the overdraft fees. Like at the time you had to wait 3 weeks. It's kind of like too that God before these instances happen, he'll see again or test or see how we will move in those instances and then bring it back. Like, remember that time you had to wait 3 weeks? Same here.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just testing your faith. I want you to trust in me.
Trust them.
And again, maybe this sacrifice is something way bigger and you don't see it, of course, now because you want to know the when, what, how.
Right.
And it'll come forth in the future. And
surrendering to. I truthfully, the Anita back at the time where I lost the job, which is many moons ago, versus this Anita in 2025, it's all because of the grace of God and your dad's training. The level of trust, I think, not that I'm big time, I'm not trying to be that way, but it's different. And I'm more at peace about what's happening right now than I would have been years ago.
Sure.
Even if Dad was alive, I was like,
for sure,
woo, woo, woo. But now,
for sure.
I'm very grateful that God's
for sure. And I think to me, it's like peanut butter jelly. Cause like with you guys, I mean, one that I always think of financial though. Like one was like, I'm gonna trust it's gonna come, and then one was like, clutch pearls. Like that's why it's like so funny. Whoever I deal with, it's like it's such a weird blend of what's in my brain of like I want you to withstand, but like financially, like the whole thing, like I'm okay with spending, like going through the overdraft fees if it's something of will, and then in my back of my mind is like, really? It's no. But last one, you surrender.
So surrender. That's giving over your own control.
That's hard.
It is hard because because you're a manager full time, I don't even know if I can blame it on me being a manager, but being a manager, you have to always have schedules and projects and be on budget and all these different things that are very rigid. Even in your position, you have to follow templates and do this. When you come to whatever you're working on or obstacle in your life, and you don't know the ABCs of it, you have to know, okay, God has it. There's a reason why He's taking you there. Can I let it go and take my hand off of it?
I think the biggest thing when I think of surrender, letting go of that control.
Yeah.
It's really pretty much explanatory. Like, we want to have control of everything we do. Like, press this, play this, this is the time, all this stuff. Just let it go. No plan.
Yeah.
No plan.
That's good. It's good that you say that. But, it's, when you're used to your will and your way.
Yeah.
Anybody else's way. Dad used to always bug me. He said, you always got a better way. But in your mind, you do think you do, but you don't.
Yeah.
And it could be.
That's still to this day.
That's true.
This is not like a therapy session.
No. It's fine. It's true.
I have the same thing.
It's true. It's true that we have to all surrender our will, our way, and trust God.
Yeah.
And trust that God is using you and what you see and how you want to do it. Take your hands off of it.
Yeah.
Take your opinions and your criticality and the things that you think should be and let it be like
okay, big word, criticality.
Oh, take off how you're going to be picking at it and criticizing it and nitpicking it.
Yeah, I just knew like critic. You just said criticality, like more of the extra word. Like you could have just said a critic, but it's okay. Master's degree just came out a little bit. But it's all right.
Okay, whatever. Okay.
But that's all that.
That's not bad. Yeah. Okay. You sure?
That's it.
I thought it was easier to understand, right? I tried to make it easier.
It sounds like you wanted validation right there.
Oh, we have this word. We got these 2 words we're using now. We went to a women's conference and we learned about feedback.
You went there.
No, both of us went. To the women's conference.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that was way back.
It's way back. We learned that word. But the women's conference told us that a lot of times we seek to get validation instead of feedback.
I actually learned that before that.
I took it in that day. So for me, I
had
find
to be another person to take it in for you to actually listen to your daughter of saying validation, feedback. That's crazy. Because I remember I said that before.
Isn't it good that I received it?
Yeah, that's good. Sorry. Good.
So I'm just telling you this for when you get your husband, you're like, I told you so. Don't be doing that. I told you so. Because that's what that was. It's just a subtle way of, why did you listen to it and somebody else?
It's okay.
They got it.
Yeah, you got it.
So my point was, feedback is you want to really hear the constructive feedback of what somebody's going to tell you. And then validations, you want them to tell you that they agree with what you did and what you decided to do or how you whatever you got. And a lot of times I seek validation as opposed to feedback, because when they give me feedback, I'm like, but
like this morning when you wanted me to see the
see the what?
The Canva.
Yes,
it was more of a validation.
No, I needed feedback because we're dealing with somebody else's thing, so I want to make sure, does it make sense? Oh my gosh, that girl! I love this girl over here. We're gonna be on a podcast.
More talking.
For the first time tomorrow. That's how we're doing this. Apparently people like this, so we're going to be talking on a podcast tomorrow about 2 generations' perspectives about the journey of life challenges on Trophy of Life with Portia S. Wheatley. So we're looking forward to that, and we're getting feedback from you all. I'm starting to see the numbers go up for Milkshake Monday BackDrop, and I appreciate that. I also am starting to get out more places and tell people about A Leap of Faith Audible. And yesterday went out and met, it wasn't yesterday, it was Saturday. And a lot of you all who already have Audibles, when I hear that you're already listening to Audibles, I'll say, please go to this one, A Leap of Faith, A Life Filled with Questionable Choices. Amazon has credits for many of you who are readers. So if you do not have the time, so you think to read the book, it's 172 pages. And I was struggling last week for the word condensed. It's one of those words that means that if you have condensed, I keep screwing this word up that I'm thinking of, but when you have to put concentrate, that's the word I'm thinking about, concentrate, that sometimes you'll get to concentrate and you have to pour water into it. Well, you have to take time because this book is concentrated. It is 172 pages, but you have to read it slowly because a lot of it, one of the people that said, oh, it's a religious book. It's not a religious book. It's a book that talks about my faith in God, but it's concentrated in the point that you have to really take your time and look and listen to what God is revealing about you. So I just want you to know that. And then Fast and Hard, from addictions to redemption. You don't throw me off today.
I didn't even do anything.
I'm just messing with Faith. But Fast and Hard is available, and I'd love to see my 4 store on www.4dosproduction.org. And my kids always tell me you don't have to say www. My generation was used to that, so now you just go 4dosproduction.org and you'll get my website, and you can see under the homepage it has 4 store, and I'm selling not just the books. There's a book bundle for $45 where you get both of these paperbacks, or you get them individually. And then there's things for swimming suits and necklaces and all kinds of things. So if you have an interest in shopping, 4 store is the place to go. I hope that you'll be with us the next time that we have a talk, and it's been fun. All right, talk to you later.
Deuces.